Good evening, card fighters, and welcome to the last edition of the Hoodie Ninja TCG's Divine Dragon Caper set review. Today we'll be going over the Spike Brothers cards, starting with a Grade 0 4K critical trigger named Silence Joker. It has an activated ability on the rear guard. If you have a Spike Brothers Vanguard, choose up to one card for your damage zone and turn it face up for the cost of putting this unit into your soul. This is a reprint, and it's really good. Like, all Spike Brothers decks want to run this card, because it's just conditional. If you need an extra counter charge, it allows you to do that if you need the extra resources later in the game, or it just guards for 10 like every other critical trigger. So it's a very fantastic card to reprint, and I'm glad Bushiroad did it. Next we have a vanilla heal trigger, grade 0 5k, Cheer Girl Sandra. It's nice. We have like a lot of heal triggers in Spike Brothers because they like making random cheerleaders as the heal triggers, but it's fine. I like the art on this one. Next we have a 5k draw trigger, Dandy Regista. It's a... I don't know, he's got a gun. He looks like any other unit. I don't know what makes him a draw trigger, but he's alright. Next we have a grade 0 5k Forerunner, Mecha Coach. For the cost of put this unit into your soul, at the end of the battle that another of your charging rearguards attacked, you pay that cost. If you do, bind all of your rearguards in the same column as the unit that attacked face up and call them to separate open rearguards as rest. This is really interesting because A, it doesn't remind you what charges. So I like how Bushiroad is changing, like they're actually working off their own keywords a bit. But it also enables your charge, but it doesn't enable the attacking charge. It enables things that, if this unit is charging, gives something else an effect. It's really interesting. And I think this card is going to see play, but I think the other starter is slightly better in the charge decks. But it's a debatable, because this card's really good. Next we have another Forerunner for the Dudley deck, Dudley Little Road. When your Vanguard with Dudley in its card name attacks, you may pay the cost of Soul Blast 1. If you do, bind this unit face up, call it to an open rearguard circle, and if the number of your other rearguards with Dudley in its card name is 2 or more, this unit gets plus 3,000 power until end of turn. Dudleys are kind of like charge in the fact that they want to call during the battle phase, but they just get straight up power instead of just getting different effects. Also, because of additional grade 3s that the Dudley deck is getting now, I think the Dudley deck could actually see a bit of play. Now that you don't have to run any bad grade 3s, I think the deck could see a lot of play. Next we have Full Speed Spectre, a grade 1 7k. It has charge, which, as a reminder to charge, during the turn this unit is placed on rearguard circle due to an effect, you may have it become charging. If you do, put on the bottom of the deck at the end of the battle. This was a little bit hard for Spike Brothers to get off unless you rode into Rising Nova or had the big strides. But I like how they're adding ways to charge on your other rearguards now, so you don't have to always be in stride to do it. So what does this guy do? Well, for the cost, when this unit becomes charging, you can pay the cost of Counterblast 1 at G-Break 1. If you do until end of turn, this unit gets plus 4,000 power, and this unit can attack a Vanguard from the back row. I like this a lot. It becomes a problem when they drive check a trigger on your damage check, and you're sad because then he can't hit. But on the times that they don't do that, or the fact that you charge this guy first before you do any random attacking shenanigans, and getting 2 attacks for free, this guy's really good. Next we have Air Force Eliza, a grade 1 7k as well, with charge. At the end of the battle that this unit boosted a charging unit, you pay the cost of Counterblast 1 at G-Break 1. If you do, bind the boosted unit face up, call it to an open rearguard circle, and if this unit is charging, that unit gets plus 2,000 power until end of turn. Put this unit on the bottom of your deck. This enables the charge again, which is really neat, and it gives you another attack, and it gives it that plus 2,000 power is very specific because it allows a 9k to hit a Vanguard, which is really good, and makes those charging grade there's charging grade 2s with 9,000 power able to hit Vanguards, and that's really good. And the fact that you have to put this chick on the bottom, it doesn't matter because you're just gonna like smash face with like double charging effects, and it's gonna be great. I like this card. Next we have Mayhem Tiger, a grade 2 9k with charge. When your opponent put a unit on Guardian Circle during the battle that this unit attacked a Vanguard. That includes G-Guards. Now, its effect does not matter with G-Guards because, as it happens, you pay the cost of Soul Blast 1. If you do, choose one of your opponent's grade 2 or less Guardians and retire it. So it's basically, they guard with a grade 0, you say no. It basically makes people overguard this attack, and that's really good. You just have to boost this guy up a little bit, and he becomes insane. Now the problem is, G-Guards exist, and a lot that we've seen guard for 10,000 extra power. So it makes this guy a little bit worse, but when they don't have the G-Guard, this guy is insane. I think this guy is going to see a lot of play in any charge decks that come about. Next we have Dudley Ingram, a grade 2 9k. At G-Break 1, when your other unit with Dudley in its card name is placed on Rearguard Circle during the battle phase, this unit gets plus 3,000 power until end of turn. Again, Dudleys are all about doing a similar thing to charge, but doing it to gain power instead of effects and extra attacks, which is fine. I really like what these cards are doing. I think, again, like I said, the Dudley deck could see a lot of play because they can run better grade 3s. Next we have Outrage Lineback, a grade 3 10k with charge as well. When this unit attacks a Vanguard at G-Break 1, this unit gets plus 4,000 power until end of turn on Vanguard or Rearguard Circle. Then, when this unit attack hits a Vanguard, if this unit is charging, pay the cost of putting it through the soul, choose a card from your hand and you may call it to an open Rearguard Circle. Unlike the grade 3 10ks that we've seen before, this guy is not as bad because he enables your charge when he hits, and he buffs himself up to be able to hit. Problem is, he's a 10k, so if you have to ride him, he's garbage. Because it lets your opponent make really weird columns that aren't good for you. Now, maybe as a 2 of in a charge deck, he may be good, because you run around 8 grade 3s, you're not going to ride him nearly as often, you have grade 1, you have the grade 1 Stride Enablers that help you search for your better grade 3s by discarding this guy. I think this card could see play. It's more playable than the other grade 3 10ks that we've seen so far. Next we have Serial Bomber, a grade 3 11k with charge. When your other Rearguard becomes charging, this unit gets plus 4,000 power until end of turn on Vanguard or Rearguard. When this unit is placed on Vanguard Circle, choose up to one card from your hand, call it to an open Rearguard Circle, and that unit gets plus 2,000 power until end of turn. This card is a way better charge enabler than the last guy, because he gets power by himself. Like, you stride once, and then say you can't stride the next turn. You ride this guy. Well, you probably would just stride, but you can just enable charge after your first stride no matter what. As long as you ride him on Vanguard, which is kind of awkward, but Spike Brothers kind of has to reach to find their own support. But this card is really good. I could see it seeing a lot of play. Now, I don't know if this guy's going to see play over the grade 3 searcher, because the grade 3 charge searcher, keyword searcher, I think that card's better in most scenarios. But again, as a 2 of, maybe alongside the grade 3 10k that we saw before, maybe Outrage Linebacker, I think this guy could see some play. Moving on into the rares, we have Dudley Cheers Linda, a grade 1 6k Sentinel, so you can only have 4 of these in a deck like I've said before, and when this unit is placed on Guardian Circle from hand, you pay the cost of Soul Blast 2 cards with Dudley in its card name. If you do, reveal 7 cards from the top of your deck, call all cards with Dudley in their card names to Guardian Circle. They get plus 5k shield until the end of that battle, put the rest into your soul. So, problems with this card. It does not guarantee guarding, because a lot of Dudleys are grade 2s and grade 1s and grade 3s. So even if you do call 7, because there's not that many Dudley triggers, they get, let's say you have 7, you call 7 10k shields. That sounds amazing, but you had to pay a Soul Blast 2 in a clan that loves to Soul Blast. And they use the soul as a very heavy resource. They love to use it. And even if you do, sometimes you call grade 3s, and those grade 3s don't work with you. And it doesn't even guarantee it stops the attack, because there's a bunch of things that guard break or get to 17 billion power anyway. Like, there's no reason to run a perfect guard over this, besides the fact that you don't have to discard a card. But then again, Soul Blasting 2 is about equal to a card in a clan that can't Soul Charge a lot. So I think I'd rather run a perfect card than this in almost any scenario. Next we have a grade 1 7k Dudley Jetter. At the beginning of your ride phase, if you have a Vanguard with Dudley in its card name, you pay the cost of retiring this unit. If you do, until end of turn, if you stride a G unit with Dudley in its card name, you may stride without paying the cost the next time you stride. This is pretty good. Basically, you superior call a grade 1 Dudley with your various Dudley effects and your strides. Then the next turn, you stride for free using this card. This is really good, especially since all of the Dudleys now that you would run in this Dudley deck get special effects when you stride. And so you can use your Counterblast and Soul Blast to pay for the new abilities and the abilities of the cards in your hand, rather than having to use the cards in your hand. It lets you pay a different resource to stride, which I really like that Bushiroad is messing around with. Next we have a grade 2 9k Lethal Forward. When this unit becomes charging until end of turn, this unit gets plus 2000 power and an ability. When this unit attack hits a Vanguard, if you have a Vanguard with Rising in its card name, search for up to one card other than Lethal Forward from your deck, call it to an open rearguard circle, and shuffle your deck. This is really good. It also has charge, by the way. It's really good because it's a lot of pressure and can pressure a Vanguard by itself. Because, again, like all the cool Spike Brothers nowadays, they're pushing 11k. Now, the problem with all these cards that they want to attack by themselves and they're only at 11k is, again, if they reveal one of those 16 triggers that everybody has in their deck, you are sad because none of your attacks can hit anymore. But hopefully you have a stride that gives them more power than that, and the 11k is just the base that they rush towards. This is a really good card, especially for the amount of pressure that it is putting on your opponent. Because not only do you get to call another unit for essentially free, you also get the charge ability of that whatever rearguard, which is amazing. And don't forget, you can call a boosting unit for your other attacking rearguard. It's really good. Next we have Dudley Turbo Rappler, a grade 3 11k. When a unit with a Dudley and its card name is placed on rearguard circle during your turn's battle phase, this unit gets plus 5,000 power until end of turn at G-Break 1 and only once per turn. That's alright. I wish it wasn't once per turn because then he'd be insane, but again, he'd be insane. Most of the time you're going to be in Dudley strides though, so he's fine. He's basically, once you run out of resources, he's going to be attacking for 16 every turn effectively. Now, when your G unit strides during your turn, choose up to one of your Vanguards, and it gets, when your rearguard with Dudley in its card name attacks, you pay the cost of Soul Blast 1. If you do, the unit that attacked gets plus 5,000 power until end of turn, and at the end of the battle, put that unit into your soul. That is important, because a lot of Dudley units that would attack and do this fancy thing go to the bottom of the deck. And a card in your soul is better than a card in your deck on average, because you can Soul Blast it and it acts as an additional resource, which actually may make Dudley land up better with cards like this, because being able to have a big soul and not have to discard cards in your hand may be better. Again, I don't think so. Maybe you don't run the Unflipping Perfect Guard and instead you run Cheer Girl Marilyn, go old school and run one or two Lindas instead. Who knows? Because this Dudley deck is going to see play because it's a super cheap deck besides the Stride, which I just checked and was like $15. Besides that one Stride, and obviously the G-Zone, this deck is really cheap because it's full of single Rs and commons. And I think new players are going to love this kind of deck. Next we have a double rare 15k shield G-Guardian, named Juggernaut Maximum. Now, before I get into this ability, a little story behind this. I went to Regionals for the first time this summer, and this was the card I got revealed. Now, everyone was super hype about it because all cool new cards, but the more I read it, the more I'm like, what does this card do exactly? And you'll see why when I read the ability. When this unit is placed on Guardian Circle, choose one of your grade 2 or less rearguards. You may have that unit get plus 10,000 power until end of turn. If you do, this unit gets plus 10k shield until end of that battle, and at the end of that turn, put that rearguard on the bottom of your deck. So, issues with this card that I have. One, using this as to defend a rearguard is bad, because you just use Dismal for that ability. Dismal gives resist. It's, well, effectively resist. Can't be attacked or retired, blah, 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 blah. This guy, though, only defends it to 10k, and even if you're guarding it, it gives it 10k, so it's a 25k shield to a rearguard, which is fine, I guess, but you're mostly running this just because it adds a 10k to your shield to your Vanguard, because they only have 5k shields at this point. The problem I have is that to do all this, you have to pay 2 cards. Now, it's of course the heal trigger that you normally discard for heal triggers, but you also have to pay a rearguard, which I'm debating if is better or not, because on the one end, it's bad because you called that card and you attacked with it, and now you have to call something else again to replace it, removing cards from your hand. But on the other end, it also enables your strides to get that card back and enable more charging. So, honestly, I don't know. I don't think it's going to see play in Dudley decks, because Dudley's going to want to keep their rear guards so they can bounce them the next turn. Or maybe this is a tech card against Kagero, because they go, alright, we're going to attack you, and you know I'm going to retire the cards you attack next turn. Well, you're not retiring this one. Maybe, I don't know. I think the card's going to see play just because it's a 25k shield for Spike Brothers, but other than that, I don't really like this card. Next, we have King of Sadism, Dudley Caligula. It's a grade 4 stride with an ability. Obviously, it has an ability. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, if you have a heart card with Dudley in its card name, you pay the cost of Counterblast 1, choose 2 cards from your hand, put them into your soul, and choose a face-down King of Sadism, Dudley Caligula, from your G-Zone and turn it face up. If you do, reveal 11 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 3 cards with Dudley in its card name from among them, call them to separate rearguards, and they get plus 2,000 power until the end of turn. Shuffle your deck. This card is really good! This card's really good for the Deadly deck. And I know it's a double rare, so it's going to be hard to get a hold of, but with this and all the various other Dudley strides that we've gotten so far, I think this card can be really good. Being able to just call 3 rearguards for free, well, it's Counterblast 1, and you have to put 2 cards in hand, and maybe that's why Dudley Lenda sees play, because you're not going to have the extra card to be able to get rid of if you want to enable all these effects for Dudleys. But at the end of the day, this card checks 11 cards. You are basically going to play any Dudleys you want, because if you're running playsets of Dudleys, this card gets really good. I really like this card. Next, we have the triple rare for Spike Brothers, Great Hero Rising Nova. Now, when this unit attacks a Vanguard, you pay the cost. If you do, choose up to the same number of your rearguards as the number of face-up Great Hero Rising Supernova in your G-Zone. They become charging, and if 4 or more of your rearguards are charging, all of your units get plus 10,000 power until end of turn. That is a lot. And the cost is only flipping another unit in your G-Zone face up. So he's an amazing first stride, he's an amazing second stride, and if you wait until late in the game, he is a powerhouse. Now, the cool thing about this card is he doesn't have to... You don't have to use his ability to make them charge. If you charge beforehand, he can still do the things, because it's when he attacks, not when he's placed on Vanguard Circle. So, you can, on your first stride, make only one of your rearguards charging, and have 4 of them do it, and they all get plus 10,000 power until end of turn. The problem is, your other rearguards have probably attacked by that point, so it may not get as much of a benefit as you may imagine, but if you run stand triggers, like some people do, because the stand triggers I've been told are pretty good, by people who play Spike Brothers a lot near me. I don't play it that often, but I can notice this card is really good if you see it. It's going to be a 4 of in any deck that has Rising in it. Like, if you have Rising Nova in your deck, you are running this card. Now, the question is, are you running this in, say, a Dudley deck? Probably not, because, well, it doesn't say, does it grant the ability? Like, it says they become charging, so in theory, it could, but the thing is, 4 V-Ray have to be charging, and you don't want to charge Dudley units. Yeah, this isn't going to see play in Dudley decks, but this card is really good in any G-Zone focused Spike Brothers deck. Well, that's the last card of the last set review. Thank you all very much so much for watching. If you liked this series of videos, don't forget to subscribe for more. Leave a like on your preferred clan so I can see which ones people like to do more. And I will see y'all in the next video.